Wayne Milton. Ladies and gentlemen, that was a doozy. All right, well, welcome back to another edition, finally, of Live Feed Reed. I'm Paul Reed, your host. This is Jason Crawford from Tallahassee, the Ed McMahon to my Johnny Carson. We're glad to be
Yep.
back. I think we're off a couple of weeks. I think obviously the internet was down 1 week, and I forget exactly what happened last week. But either way, we're back. Glad to be back.
No memory of last week.
Glad to have a building to be back in.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. So anyway, let's
Yeah.
today's topic is insurance bad faith, and you say, well, that's interesting. We've heard about that, but what is it? Well, we had
Yeah.
talked about bad faith a few times, and what it is when an insurance company, in the simplistic form, doesn't treat their insured or the claimant fairly. Okay,
Yeah.
so
Okay.
that it used to, before March 24th of 23, be a stick that you could beat the insurance company over the head with to say, look, if you guys don't, treat our clients in our position fairly, then if we prevail at trial, we're going to bring a bad faith claim against you. Well,
So,
the insurance companies did not like that.
okay.
So what they did in the Tort Reform Act of 2023, they basically got the legislature, the government, to say, well, uh, bad faith, the personal injury lawyers and the lawyers out there, they're abusing this, and we need to change it, which they did. And so, without getting into it, is bad faith still there? Yes. Is bad faith still there? Absolutely not. And I'm going to give you some
Okay.
examples as
Okay.
absolutely not. And so that's the way it is. Now, mind you, when they say the insurance, the greedy lawyers, myself included, you are using bad faith against them unfairly and this, that, and the other. You got to remember, do you know who decides whether or not an insurance company has acted in bad faith?
A jury.
Yeah, not me,
Yeah.
not you, not
Yeah.
them, a jury. So if a
Peers.
jury
Yeah.
hears the evidence and they come to the conclusion that there was no bad faith, which they have, the insurance company did what they needed to do, well, then guess what? You lose.
That's it. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
to say that the greedy lawyers are the ones, capitalizing
Well,
on
it's
this,
easy to blame greedy lawyers, those nebulous
yeah.
people who talk in such eloquent language that no one can understand them.
Right. Well, let's now watch this. This is funny because this is the post March 24, 2023 crap. And I use
Yeah.
that word crap because it is what we're dealing with. First
Okay.
off, the most of the adjusters and people in the insurance industry are now working from home. And I kid you not, when you call, hold on a second, I'm finishing up my kid's schoolwork, which is fine. Or what's that in the background barking like crazy? It's the dog. Or hold on, I've got to, take my food out of the oven and so forth. Now, I cast a wide net, but
You've
these are the
got some
things
very interesting
that we've
experience.
heard. So pull up, let me just show you an example of what
Okay.
would have been bad faith. Now, it's just standard operating procedure. We
Okay.
received a letter from an insurance company, and you can see it, the Kemper, on one of our cases
Mm-hmm.
dated September 25th, 2024. And Jason, let me
Mm-hmm.
know when it's up there.
It's up. It's up. Yeah.
Okay, so we have redacted it because I don't want to throw any adjusters under the bus. We redacted the
Mm-hmm.
claim number, and I don't know if Jason highlighted the second
I did.
paragraph. The last
Yeah.
sentence says, "Therefore, we must deny your client's claim." This was a bicycle incident. Our client was, crossing on a sidewalk. Someone was leaving their home and hit him. Pretty
Mm-hmm.
straight. Typically,
Okay.
on that, a liability would be admitted, and you worry about the injuries and the medical bills, and that's the fight you fight. Well,
Okay.
because bad faith went in the crapper, it's, well, your client was on a bike and he's at fault, and thanks for coming, right?
Okay.
All
Okay.
right. So we were preparing to file suit when and drafting the documents, and there's things you got to get from the client and so forth. And then we received put up letter number two from a different adjuster in the same company. And this letter is dated October 23rd of 2024.
Okay.
Let me know when that's up.
It's up. Yeah. So
What does
roughly a
it
month
say?
later.
A month later, different adjuster.
And had you
After
sent any communication to them as a response?
we're filing suit, okay,
Okay.
the response is, all right, well, we'll proceed accordingly,
Okay. Okay.
because you can't threaten billion-dollar companies, they're going to make a decision, and then
Right.
then then you file suit, and if you have to let a jury decide, then the jury decides. That's just the way it goes.
Mm-hmm.
But somehow, some way, the other person, I guess adjuster number one's in Brandon, adjuster number two's in Lakeland, I don't know, or adjuster
Okay.
number one's in California, adjuster number two's in Maine. Either way,
Wow.
look what adjuster number two, mind you, they're redacted, but their different adjuster says in response to the same information, because I looked at the file. We did not provide any other documentation other than an email saying, fine, we'll
That's kind
file
of what I
suit.
was. Okay. That's what I was curious about.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, there was
Yeah. Yeah.
just, okay, we'll
Okay.
file suit.
So no
Uh,
other real developments. They just put another pair of eyes on it from another person who wasn't really attached to it.
honestly, I can't speak for what happened. Typically,
Okay.
one adjuster has it until you file suit, and then it does get to a litigation adjuster.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
Either way, they offer
Hmm.
$2,500.
Uh-huh.
Uh, it says, we considered the information you sent as well as the information we gathered from our investigation, and we're going to offer $2,500 a month later.
Okay.
This is the crap that we have to deal with every day, and not just us. You know,
And this is the
attorneys,
person who was hit by a
bicycle. It's a bicycle. Yeah, person
okay.
leaving their driveway. There were bushes. They should have trimmed them. Didn't see him and hit him.
Okay.
Seemed to us like a pretty straightforward case.
Okay.
But this is what's happened, and so that's the Kindle.
Wow.
I'm gonna throw that. Number two
Okay.
incident is we have another case where a 30-something-year-old woman in a car crash, moderate injuries, and she
Yeah.
treats some injections and things of that nature. Her medical bills are $51,000.
Okay.
Her out of pockets are a little over 30,000. With
Okay.
me so far? Because
Yes.
PIP, her insurance paid some bills. There were some reductions, health insurance. So it's total 50 with about 30 left.
Okay.
Now, the driver of the car that hit her had a $25,000 policy limit, right?
Okay.
So we've got 50,000 in medicals, 30,000 out of pocket. We're
Okay.
not talking, not even the pain and suffering, just 30,000 in medical bills on a
Medical. Right.
$25,000 policy. We assumed we'd send the bills, call it demand, the bills, the lost wages, the medical records, medical bills, and then
Right.
send over a check.
Right. Because that's pretty
I,
concrete. That's
I,
nothing.
I digress. I'm wrong.
Oh,
It's
okay.
a $50,000 policy with
Okay. So you had a 50
$30,000 in medical
in
bills.
bills. Okay.
Okay, I'm
Got you.
sorry.
Okay.
50. I
Okay.
thought, okay, well, this is a no-brainer. 30,000. She has a herniated disc.
Right. Pretty straightforward. Here's
$50,000.
medical.
Pretty much.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Yeah. No, the first offer was $15,000, and this is with Allstate. And I'm like, wait a minute.
Why?
Well, I don't know why, but I will tell you this. What people don't know is Allstate actually uses a computer to determine what your settlement should be.
Like
And
a specific
and you can Google this.
calculation.
The computer is called Colossus, and it basically
Okay.
you feed in information. It has algorithms, and it shoots out a number.
Jeez.
Now, mind you, back in the day, when I think it was maybe the 90s, 2000s, Allstate got sued by 41 states for using this system. And they paid millions of dollars to settle those lawsuits.
Why doesn't it spit out your medical bills as part of that number? Like,
Well,
I don't.
anyway,
What?
they're still using it. Part of
Okay.
the settlement, though, in which now you'll get a letter from Allstate. Yeah, we received your this, we received your that. They have to notify you. Oh, and by the way, among other things, we use a computer algorithm called Colossus. So now they have to notify you. Whoop-de-doo.
Okay.
All right. So, and there's other issues that they supposedly have to tell you and do. But bottom line, it's business as usual. We paid the 10 or $15 million penalty and we move on.
Okay.
So we filed suit. Okay, obviously. So we filed suit and we did what's called a proposal for settlement, and it's basically a way to get attorney's fees in litigation if you prevail. So they did a proposal for settlement as well. I'm thinking, okay, well, maybe someone else, some lawyer for Allstate, kind of laid eyeballs on the file, and they say there's 30,000 in out of pockets as a herniated disc. Maybe you want to save a couple of bucks, and the proposal for settlement for them, yeah, it might have been like 40,000 or 45,000,
Okay.
and put pressure on you. Do you want to keep going litigation? The costs go up, all those things. Oh no, $25,422.08. Now, let me tell you, well, let me ask you this. Why do you think that they did such a specific offer?
I was gonna say
$25,422.08.
that's very specific. Very specific.
And I'll tell you why.
Okay. Okay.
There is still, albeit remote, there is still a possibility of bad faith, right? It's like jumping over a mountain, but it's still there. So what they want to be able to say is, ladies and gentlemen, the jury, we really,
calculated a number.
really calculated
A number. We did math down to the cents.
To the penny.
To the penny.
Yeah. We didn't just do 25,000.
What a show.
25,000.
Do you know who else does this?
$2.08.
Do you know who else does this? You know who else does this? Those scammers, when they call you, they're like, "Oh, Mr. Reed, you have an outstanding bill due of $2,788.13. Would you like to make a payment on that?" Because it makes it sound credible if there's such a specific number. Like, what a mental.
All right. So that's just number, and this is just this week. This is not a day in the life. This is just this week what's happened. All right.
Wow.
And example number 3.
You didn't have to go fishing for this example, is what you're saying.
No, example number 3 is I got a call Wednesday from a gentleman that his roof, among other things, his roof was destroyed by hurricane.
Okay.
Adjuster came out, and it's an old man, 70-year-old man. I feel bad for him. He comes out and says, yeah, you need a new roof. And because the roof was torn off when it was raining, you need A, B, C, D, and E, right?
Okay.
So the roof alone was estimated at 20,000. That's not unreasonable when you got to do plywood.
A whole new roof. Yeah.
Big 3-story home. All right. Then he estimates somewhere around another 20 or 30,000 for the other things that were damaged due to the rain coming in. But let's just leave that alone. Let's just say it's just the $20,000 roof, right?
Right.
Which your roof's not there. It ain't. This isn't like rocket science to know. Mr. Crawford, you need a new roof. Duh.
Right. Duh. That's going to have a number, a hard number.
He receives a check for $2,000.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
2,000?
Yep.
How is that? Paul, how is that?
Remember when I said they did away with bad faith on March 24th of 2023?
Yeah.
Why pay you? Why pay?
I'm angry. Like, this is infuriating.
No, and I'll tell you why not to pay. If I collectively, if I'm a gambler and Jason and I make a bet, and I owe Jason $100,000. And Jason's never going to get any more than $100,000, whether I pay him today or 2 or 3 years from now, right? Mm-hmm. No interest, no attorney's fees. Why would I pay Jason now?
Mm-hmm.
I'll invest that $100,000 with my brokerage, and I'll make 10% on the dollar or on the 100 per year. So and I've said this before, and I'll have 10,000 first year, 10,000 second, 10,000 third, just simple math. And so by the time I pay Jason his 100, I've made 30 grand on Jason's 100. So I only paid really $70,000, right?
Okay.
If I'm an insurance company and I got to pay out $100 million, and attorney's fees are no longer an issue, why would I pay you now? Number one, a lot of the old timers, because the old man said, nice, he says, I wasn't going to do anything. I was just going to pay it myself and move on. But he goes, I just can't. He goes, I just can't on this one. But do you know how many people will just move on from a denied claim or a situation like this? A certain percentage, right? Then there's going to be a certain percentage that needs the money now. And
so
they will take that money, not made whole, but they'll take that money and move on. And then there are a percentage that will reach out to a lawyer and get everything they're entitled to get.
Yeah.
But if I'm an insurance company, it's win-win, because as long as I don't have to pay attorney's fees, the smaller claims are going to go by the wayside. Because if I'm a lawyer and you're owed $10,000 and I got to file suit and it takes 2 to 3 years maybe, and I only get 10% or 20%, I'm not taking that case, right?
Dude, this is so
I'm just telling you,
discouraging.
No.
This is so discouraging, because it's like, how do you get things like that fixed? Right? I think lobbying fixes.
Which is not happening, but you undo what they did on March 24th of 2023.
But you have to convince them to do that. I think that's why, I think that's one of the reasons why a lot of people don't like lobbyists, but I think that's one of the reasons why, like, people who are genuinely interested in the better good,
which lobbyist is going to prevail in Tallahassee? The big insurance lobby, or the greedy personal injury trial lawyer lobby?
Pays. Yeah.
Well, and that's why Jason.
but then people lose.
About 100% of the people that would watch this video have no idea that this is going on.
Right. As with many things, man.
Many of the things we talk about, which is why we do the show, because we don't make any money. We do it to basically, we enjoy it. And it's once a week I get to talk to Jason, and I get to talk to you individuals in TV land, and to try to educate you on what the heck's going on out there, and bring a little reality to the law. Because what you see on TV, it's TV.
Dude, it's TV. It's right. TV. I mean, like,
you go from being charged with murder to the trial in a month on TV.
Right.
Or you go from your car wreck where you're in your civil trial 4 days later.
Yeah.
And then people wonder, they kind of get angry. What's taking so long?
Yeah.
Well, there's TV, and then there's the real world.
Right. Yeah.
So we try to bring you a little bit of the real world during our live feed Reed.com.
That, and like, I think political season illustrates so much how the television is full of lies, and it's basically just showing you whatever people want to show you. It doesn't necessarily represent anything that's quote unquote trustworthy information. I think that's one of the real.
Not to cut you off, boy, I'll tell you. I watch the Instagram just before bed. I lay in bed and I look at stuff and then blah blah blah. But boy, the lies on just one site, or I wouldn't say the lies, just I don't know what you call it. The crap that's made up. And then it's just one site. There's a hot female golfer I like to watch.
Okay.
But it just blows my mind that you're right. It's just made up. Simple as that. But it looks real.
It does. And like they're specific. Like, I know that one of the senators, they're campaigning hard up here, and they took a picture of him when he was reading something, so it's side profile and he's reading. But then the way that they showed that picture was like, oh, it's like even he's ashamed of himself for the decisions that he's made. Look at this guy. And I'm like, he's reading. Like, what are you? I was there. I saw that moment. Like, what? It's wild to me, though. This is just how we frame something totally different, but we frame it this way and say these things while it's being shown, and the message is completely like whatever we want it to be. Whatever we want.
Funny, I don't know if we talked about this 2 weeks ago or not, but a buddy whose home was destroyed during Helene, he got storm damage.
Buddy.
and he used to be an insurance person. I don't know if he was the adjuster or went out and did the damage assessment and so forth, right? So he's telling me that he spoke with his company and he's going to get, this was on October the 7th, I believe. Yeah, because he says by the 21st of October, he's getting a $30,000 check. I'm like, no, you're not. Oh, and he'd been doing little toddies. I've been having a couple of Miller Lights, and I says, well, I'll bet you $20. Oh, I'll bet you $20. I'll have my check.
Okay, all right.
Guess what? He called me up and says, I'll drop off you $20. He don't have his check. And he had his mail forwarded, right? And he called and they said, well, check's in the mail. Well, here it is, the 25th. There ain't no check.
Checks. That reminds me of what old Jack Burton used to say. Yeah. Check is in the mail.
Yeah, well, guess what? My friend, just so you know, in the Reed household, you pay a bet. I don't care if it's $1. I don't care if it's 5 push-ups. If you bet, you bet. In fact, let's see if we can, before we get out of here, watch this. Let's see. We'll see.
Buddy. My dog is being.
We're going to call little Leanne in New York City.
Oh.
Okay, Leanne, in the Reed, say hello to TV land.
Hey.
In the Reed household, if you make a bet and lose, what happens?
Wait, I didn't hear what you said.
If you make a bet and lose, what happens?
You have to say
that. Bye.
Bye.
I love that. That's awesome.
Yeah. You have to pay the bet. It's that simple.
Well, on to lighter things.
Okay, we're done with that. Go ahead.
I let the kids watch an old. I've been like enjoying showing them some of the older movies, and so I let them watch the old Jack Burton Big Trouble in Little China with Kurt Russell.
Okay, yeah, that's good.
Yeah, it's great. The opening monologue where he's like, you know what, old Jack Burton? Yeah, I'll tell you like I told my last wife, I never drive faster than I can see. And besides that, it's all in the reflexes. And now my kids go around quoting the one-liners. And I'm so proud of them.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. Some of the older movies,
that's a good one, dude.
They're much better than the new crap.
Oh, yeah, man.
Listen, we've been rambling now for 20 minutes. So like I said, I didn't sustain any significant damage. Praise Jesus. The trees fell away from the house. I know people did sustain significant damage. My buddy sustained damage. What the heck is that?
This is my new guy. His name is Blue.
His name?
His name is Blue. Say hi, Blue. Hey, buddy.
All right.
Oh, he's a good boy.
Jason got himself a man-eater.
He's a good boy.
Yeah, they're all good. They're all good. Well, he never did that before. What? Ate the head off a baby? All right. Well, take us out.
All right,
guys. We will see you next weekend, God willing. The Friday before the election. We're not going to talk about it. Yeah, we ain't talking about the election, but it's coming up quickly, and thank goodness, because I'm sick of the text messages. You can only block so many, evidently. But,
you can't advertise past the 28th either. So
yeah, thanks for watching, and I hope that you recover if you're in the Hurricane Helene or Milton bullseye. I hope you recover and everything gets back to normal.
Absolutely. All right, I'll take us out.
Reed and Reed, it's like having a lawyer